Okay, everybody, we have a really special segment coming up. Yay! Hello, I'm Lynette Louise, the Brain Broad. I have a brain, I fly abroad, I help brains. That's why I'm the Brain Broad. And we are doing a virtual leadership summit called Seeking the Path. I called it Seeking the Path because, in truth, no matter where we are in our journey, we're always seeking the rest of the path. We're always looking for where we're going and trying to make it better, hopefully not worse. That would suck. So the idea is to bring you advice from all different experts in the world, all different motivational people. This particular person is so inspirational, you will just be amazed. But before I talk to you about who it is, my new book is called The 7 Senses of Leadership, The Brain Broad's Guide to Leadership Sensibilities. It's so weird when your lip sync is off, but you're live. It feels so strange. Oh, well, you'll just have to pretend it's the news, and that's how it goes. Okay, so today's guest, and that's on Amazon.com. Got it? 7 Senses of Leadership, Lynette Louise, Brain Broad, Amazon.com, today's guest. Kurt Yaeger, there he is. See that handsome face that just popped in? That was cool. Kurt Yaeger is an amazing man for many, many reasons. He's an actor extraordinaire and really an up-and-coming actor that's getting an awful lot of attention. Corey's the new thing going on that I'm aware of, but maybe has more to share about his different projects. What I love so much about Kurt, first of all, he's zipping away to do this, so I'm talking fast. I have to take a minute to go. It's true, Kurt. It was like so hard for us to connect schedule-wise. I'm so excited to have you. I met Kurt on an airplane. I've met a lot of celebrities on an airplane. So if you start searching, just ride on airplanes a lot. And we were on an airplane together. And at one point, I could tell by the way he was kind of ducking down. I said, are you an actor? Because looks like you're trying not to be recognized. So it was really fun. We got talking, and he was one of the nicest men I've ever met. And then I looked into who he is. And his story is going to blow your mind. So, Kurt Yaeger, welcome to this segment of the Leadership Summit.
Thank you, Lynette. I'm having a good time already.
Okay, so let's start with your story, because you didn't start out as an actor. There's something very cool to tell, and I'd love you to tell it, but in an abbreviated form, because we only have 20 minutes.
Sure. I was a professional athlete when I was young. I rode BMX professionally in the X Games. I did that for many years, and then I started working on my master's in hydrogeology. I really enjoyed doing groundwater research, and then I had a really bad motorcycle accident where I ended up losing my left leg. I broke my pelvis in half, tore my bladder in half, broke 7 vertebrae, collapsed my lungs, broke my right ribs, concussion, ACL and MCL on my right leg, and deep vein thrombosis throughout the bottom part of my right leg that was left. And had a moment of clarity talking with my family about what I wanted to do for real in my life. And my brother said, you know, I remember you wanting to do full-time acting. You know, I did acting before I was injured. I did theater. Yeah, I did theater and some work as a stunt guy because they needed it for like, you know, a stuntman to come in and do backflips over jumps and stuff like that. And he's like, why don't you just go for it? And I'm like, I don't think I can do it. He's like, what do you have to lose, man? You almost died. And so that near-death experience made me go, you know what? I'm going to do this and do it all the way. And very, very few people that I told were like, oh, that's a good idea. They were thinking, you're not rich. You don't come from a rich family. You don't know anyone in Hollywood. You have no connections. You have no formal training. What are you doing? You know? And I was like, no, this is what I need to do. So I went after it, and it's a lot of hard work, but it's also making sure that you know where you're not your strongest so that you can always work on those weaknesses. And there might not even be weaknesses. They just might not be as strong as your other parts of you. And so I did, and that started leading me to project after project. And you could be a good actor and a bad human, and I find that you should be a good human first and then work on your acting. And that has helped me in that working with producers, they have all been very kind to me because I was good to them on set and did a lot of cool things. So I enjoy it.
Okay. So now I'm going to read say what I think Kurt said, because we had this crazy chipmunk interruption into your voice. So I'm going to just basically, he was chasing it. He really committed to it, realized he had to work really hard. And we really did miss a lot of that.
It's okay.
What was your first breakthrough?
In acting or just in life?
Oh, that's a great question. We're going to do in life in a minute. Let's go with in acting, because here you are. Now you are missing a leg. Mm-hmm. You've healed, and it was a huge journey to heal. You weren't this wasn't small injuries.
Right.
You obviously were committed to becoming strong again. And you were a BMX champion, is that right?
Yeah, like double backflips over 50-foot jumps, stuff like that in the X Games.
Right. Okay, so here you were, and you're looking for a job as a 1.5-legged guy. What was your first breakthrough in acting?
I think my first real breakthrough wasn't a role, but in the understanding that the film business is just that. It's film, 25% art, and business, 75% business. So it's one of those things that you have to be your own marketing manager. You have to be your own acting coach. You have to be your own friend. You have to be your own accountant. You have to understand how to reinvest in yourself without it feeling like you're just either wasting your money or you're just spending it willy-nilly. And I think that's the moment when I realized that though it's a passion, it's also a career, and I need to treat it as if, it's any other career. If you're a fireman, you need to work out and be strong. If you're, a psychologist, you need to go to other psychologists to vent and, do your own work and make sure that you're giving the right advice or listening enough or whatever it is, and so on and so forth. So I think that was my first breakthrough, where it wasn't like, come on guys, give me a shot. It was more like, okay, what can I do to make myself more valuable to a film production? So I probably need to learn this, and I learned that, and then I need to learn this. And for me, what I'm still working on is, like, I want to have a better immediate recall with words, dialogue, and very difficult dialogue. So I started reading Shakespeare, Henry VI, out loud. So I'm reading it out loud, every part, which I've read plenty of Shakespeare. I've read plenty of other things, but I've never read it all out loud. So I've dedicated the next 3 months to reading, if I can get through it, all of Shakespeare out loud.
So in other words, acting's a business. You have to apply yourself to your business. You have to apply yourself to your craft, just like you have to practice all the time if you want to continue to race, which you do.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of amazing. You have a missing leg, and I see you all the time being in events. And didn't you do some kind of a long distance thing recently?
Yeah, I just did an adventure challenge in Colorado, raising money for veterans. And we did like 16 miles of whitewater rafting. And our team came in 6 minutes ahead of everyone else. And then we went to the bike challenge through the Colorado mountains. And I don't remember, it was like 30 miles. And I've got one leg. 2 or 3 of the other teammates are able-bodied, and the other one is a hand cyclist because he's paralyzed. And we had 2 flat tires that we had to repair on the road, and still came in 40 seconds ahead of team 2. So it felt very good, but I was spent. My arm, I actually hurt my arm. I don't know if you can see this, like, see this bulge?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think I ripped a muscle or a tendon in there pushing so hard. So if it doesn't get better in like 4 more days, I have to go to the doctors and get some surgery. But that's the whole point. Like, that, who cares? Like, I'll remember. Here's the thing about memory. You almost never remember all just the good, like pure good things, like ice cream. Do you remember the last time you ate that ice cream? No, it was that momentary yummy flavor thing. You often remember like the really screwed up situations that you were able to get through and laugh with your friends and go, how did we even get ourselves into that? I mean, and then we got yourselves out, and that's the stuff you remember, and that's like character building. I think that's where acting is, where you have to go out and fail on a regular basis in order to learn where you're not as strong, so that you can evaluate your failure and then adjust, learn from it, and then now you're a better human being. Like, I really like being wrong. I don't care if it's about politics. I don't care if it's about religion. I don't care if it's about, you know, the type of wood a chair is made out of. You know, like, I like to go, oh, it's mahogany. And someone's like, no, it's cherry. And I'm like, nah. And they go, this is why. And I go, oh, I never knew that's how you could distinguish cherry from mahogany, you know? And now the reason I like being wrong is because now forever in the future, I will never be wrong about that again. Right. So it's fun. It's fun to learn and challenge, you know?
I love that you said that. When I first started doing neurofeedback, one of my biggest lessons was that you can't learn anything without the no's and the yeses.
Yeah.
So you don't know where your weaknesses are if you don't step out. I mean, everybody's strong on the couch, right? So you don't know where your weaknesses are if you don't step out and take chances.
Yeah. I mean, everyone says, step outside your comfort zone. Well, the nature of the definition of comfort zone means that whatever you're going to do is going to be uncomfortable. So it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to get on stage and go, hi, ladies and gentlemen, there's 500 people here. I wanted to talk to you today about Danny Woodburn. Holy could, I hope I said that right. And you know what I mean? Like, and that's what you're going through your head. But there's also great power in going, hi, ladies and gentlemen, I'm nervous. I haven't done a lot of public speaking, so bear with me. And then they love you, and because you're being authentic. And you should be uncomfortable in those situations, because, I mean, who in their right mind would get up in front of 500 people and talk and just be like, yep, whatever. Right. Or act in a show, or play their first musical number in front of people, or, you know, go and do a presentation at a 20-person board member group to raise money for something. Like, it's all should be nerve-wracking because it's out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And the only way you get comfortable with it is if you do it.
Right. You do it so much you become comfortable, and then you raise the bar. Now you have a new area of discomfort. That's just life, right?
Now, and then at that point, all life becomes pretty comfortable. Okay. I mean, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about favorite part. I'm going to ask you some leadership questions, 3 of them.
Sure.
Same questions I ask everyone, but first let's give them a sense of, I don't want to read all your resume. You're doing, Quarry is what's happening right now. You said something about a new project, even newer than that.
Well, I shot Quarry, and Quarry's airing right now on Cinemax, and it's also, they put the first 3 episodes out on YouTube, so people who don't have Cinemax can watch it, which is really, really cool. So you can just go to Cinemax's YouTube page. I shot episodes of NCIS LA, which will be airing here in the next month. I shot an episode of Shooter, an episode of Pure Genius on CBS, and then I'm going to be shooting a new show that I haven't even announced publicly, Lethal Weapon, that new TV show that's out. So I'm shooting that next week, and yeah, it's just been very good this last couple of months, I guess.
Now, how often does the fact that you're an amputee get used? Or do they ignore it now? I know originally.
Well, yeah. I mean, one thing you have to understand is what you perceive as a weakness is only a weakness if you perceive it as a weakness. So I owned the fact that I have a leg and sold it to everyone I could to get certain roles and do those projects. And then they were like, you're a really good actor. You don't need to sell your leg. And I'm like, I know, but you wouldn't have listened to me until I told you that part. So up to this point now, it's about 50-50. So they'll go, Kurt, we need an amputee for this role. And I'm like, sure, here's my rate. And other times they're like, Kurt, we want you for a role. And I'm like, good. And it has nothing to do with it. So it's been, the more I work, the more, like Lethal Weapon has nothing to do with it. Pure Genius has nothing to do with it. Shooter has nothing to do with it. So it's finally starting to like change over a little bit, but I'll still utilize it, because showing it makes people who are amputees out in the world and have other disabilities, you know, makes them go, oh, look, that guy did it. Like, why can't I? So I think it's good to be public with what perceive as flaws.
I do too. In fact, before I ask those three questions, when we were on my radio show, you've been so amazing, by the way. I so appreciate how you make yourself available to me. It's awesome.
Sure, no problem.
When you were on the radio show, you talked about how it is, like when I first met you, I never saw a limp. I'm a medical professional. I look for that stuff and nothing indicated that to me. So
Yeah.
The story you told about how you changed the way that walk works, I think is very useful because people can think about how you took your issue and you really analyzed it and solved it. So can you just quickly describe that? That's awesome.
Well, a normal person walking with two legs, their ankle can articulate, right? So it goes up and down. And when you reach for the ground, you're actually reaching with your heel. And it just goes a little bit inverted and touches the ground and then flattens out and you roll over it. With a prosthetic leg, it doesn't do that. The heel is fixed. It is exactly in the space that it's in, so you step into a hole. Essentially, you're about 1/2 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch shorter when you step. So I filmed myself over and over and over, watching myself and going, why is this happening, And I realized a major flaw with prosthetists and people trying to relearn how to walk is they try to make their prosthetic leg work like their real leg, which can never happen. The human body is an amazing, resilient, blessing that we get to inherit. And no technology is ever going to work as good as your real leg. But I realized that my real leg could mimic how my prosthetic leg walks. So I changed my entire walk and gait in order to mimic the bad leg or the one that didn't work as well. And now I have an exact same step on both sides. So it's exactly the same. Now I don't have, like a lot of amputees have back problems because they're fighting themselves every step. I just changed the entire way of how I walk. And now no one can tell if I have pants on or not. Like they don't know I'm an amputee.
Yeah, I think they could tell if you had pants on or not. They just could.
Well, yeah, that might be a little telling. I mean, you don't even know if I have them on now, so.
This is true, and neither do you. So here's the thing. I see images of you all the time, and you're right. You're very out there with your amputee leg, and you're doing all these things. You must have had to reteach yourself, even for how to ride, all the stuff you're still doing. You must have had to learn, how do I use this new leg, this new instrument? And you've done it. You've overcome all yours. You've got one out there with a picture of your leg, and it's like, so you want to quit because you have an owie or something? Right. I mean, it's awesome. You're so inspirational. So I think that you are who we want to get these answers from. So number one, what is your definition of leader or leadership, either one?
My definition of leader I think it's twofold. Listening to the advice that everyone gives and then disregarding the bad advice. And then doing what you believe is right from a logical, ethical, moral position and going forward. Just because everyone's doing it doesn't make you a leader. Like, you should do your own thing. And it doesn't mean that you can't mimic or see good parts about other people's stuff, but being a leader is saying, I'm going to blaze a trail and go this direction, and you guys should follow. And if you don't, that's okay. I'm still going this direction. That right there makes people follow you because they believe that you're capable of leading. If you go, come on, you should go this way, now you're begging. It's not going to happen. So I would say that would be the twofold definition.
Right. Lead, don't drag.
Exactly. And
all right.
People need examples, If you don't know where you're going, you have to blaze a trail. And then you have to go back and tell them you blazed a trail. They don't believe you. You have to show them the roadmap that you made. And then they go, oh, okay. It's just some people aren't built that way. And they have other qualities that you're not built for either. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a leader in ways that aren't, I guess, a definition of a leader. Like, you can be a leader within your group. You can be a leader within your own life. If you're like, a small time at a big company and you're in a smaller role, It doesn't mean that you're not a leader because you're not leading the company. You could be leading, your kids' youth group. You could be leading, the community center. You could be it's like you take your skills and lead with your skills. It doesn't mean you're going to lead like other people.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Question 2.
Sure.
What is your definition of success?
It's a quote of mine. Success. What is it? It's success is failing with no loss of enthusiasm.
Oh, that's beautiful. I have never heard that.
So it hurts when you mess up. It stinks when you don't get a role. It's bad when someone doesn't want to give you the money. But, and you can go into a couple-day funk or even a week or two. But you still go, you know what? I'm still going to do this because it's good and it's right and I'm going to be enthusiastic and I'm going to go get it anyways. And then you find another way to make it happen. Or you adjust your parameters. I mean, I write scripts and I've gotten notes where people have said, this is wrong, it's bad for this reason. And I would have to go back and completely change the script. And I can argue and discuss it. And after a few minutes, you go, they're right. I didn't want to say that out loud, but they're right. Yeah. Okay, I can't work on it today because I'm a little disheartened, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to tackle it.
Nice.
Go back to it.
Nice. Okay. So I think in your definitions, you may have answered number 3, but you might have something to add. So number 3 is, given your definition of leadership and your definition of success, what would you say is the path? Let's say you're giving someone advice and you want to help them to follow a path to success as a leader. What would you say?
I think it's whatever you want to lead in, you have to know how to be a good servant. If you want to be in charge and lead people, you have to know each one of their jobs first. And that one gives you empathy, not sympathy, which is, oh, that's sympathetic over there. Empathy is, I've done that job. I understand how long it takes and I understand the hardships with it. So you can lead from a position of experience. And I think that when you learn how to be a good servant for other people and a servant in yourself, you gain knowledge that can only come from servitude. And that's what creates a good leader, I think, is someone that understands all of the, as many of the aspects of each part of whatever you're trying to lead. And I think that being a good leader and the path of that is doing every little job that is associated with what you're leading to. Like if you want to run a nonprofit, well, if you're going to, let's say that nonprofit is serving homeless people and serving them food, well, you should cook for a couple of weeks. Then you should actually serve the food. Then you should dress up as a homeless person and go live on the street for 2 weeks. Then you should go and see what companies are that you want their money for the charity, see what they need and learn what they need, and then provide that within the services that you do. Then all of a sudden you become the leader because you're knowledgeable.
Right.
So I think that's the path.
Empathetic. I love this so much. So many of the people that I work with that have brain challenges, part of the reason they're accused of having no empathy is they've never had the opportunity to have the experiences to gain the empathy that is required. So I love that you put that in the form of leadership. Wow. Job you want to share that you haven't already shared, how to follow you, whatever you want to share.
Well, the easiest way to follow me is on my Facebook fan page, my Twitter page, and my Instagram page, which is all just my name, which is Kurt, K-U-R-T, and Yaeger, which is Y-A-E-G-E-R. So all of them are just my names, no capitals, no hyphens. I got lucky. I got all of my own name. I do run all of my own social media channels, so there's no one else that you're talking to except me on there. And I can't stress how helpful it is to have more followers. I've been on the Performers with Disabilities Community Committee at SAG and AFTRA, which is the union for actors, trying to get more actors with disabilities in front of the camera. And Hollywood listens to numbers. They listen to power. I have about 150,000 followers across my channels, but I need 300 to 400 to 500,000. That's really what I need for an executive who's making millions of dollars a year to want to listen to me, because I need to be able to bring eyeballs to a project. If I can do that with fans and people who are just coming on and supporting, they don't have to share everything I share. They don't have to like everything I like. They just have to follow and be a part of the conversation. I mean, there's 57 million Americans that have some form of a disability in America, and that's 20% of the population, and less than 0.5% of all words spoken on television are from the mouth of a disabled person. So we have a 19.5% disparaging ratio. Yeah. It's not going to change because it's the right thing. It's going to change because we have a massive following and we make it happen.
Right. So at the end of the day, it's all about ratings and money and all of that. So if we jump on board and give you a hand there, so people, I can promise you that if you go over to his pages, any of them, especially Facebook, you will be constantly inspired, constantly entertained, and you will be blessed. You won't just be clicking something for the sake of clicking. You'll be hooked like I am. Kurt, I think you're the most marvelous man I've ever met. I'm so thrilled to know you, and thank you for making yourself available.
Thank you. Those words are too kind.
Oh, they're honest words. They're honest words. I mean it. They're, just so you know, you're tied for nicest man.
Really?
But you're the most inspirational.
I had good parents and family that loved me, so I just am paying back what they gave me.
Do you know what's interesting is the other person is also someone I met on a plane. I say you're tied, and I think maybe it's worth mentioning because there's people often drop the ball when they're just getting about in the world. And the truth is, if you're going to be wonderful, you should be wonderful in every moment, all the time.
Sure.
And that's what I noticed about you. And that's what I noticed about this other gentleman who's going to be on the show as well. So thank you, Kurt Yaeger. You walk your talk, even if it's, and without a limp. And you're very inspirational. And I want everybody to go and check out his page.
Cool.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm Lynette Louise, the Brain Broad. This has been Kurt Yaeger. It's yet another segment of the Virtual Leadership Summit, Seeking the Path. Next time. Here's me trying to find the stop broadcast button.